Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Candid Show. This episode is hosted by myself, Sriram and Krishna. So, in this episode, we are going to experiment a new format of a show called Unsolved Mysteries, where we are going to discuss about the various unsolved mysteries or various conspiracy theories in this world, and we are going to give our explanations and our theories as to why those incidents occurred. So, to moving on directly jumping into the actual incident which happened. So, this took place in the year 1959, the month of January, where a 23-year-old person called Igor Dyatlov was led an expedition along with 8 of his young Soviet hikers, who comprised of 7 men and 2 women, and most of them were university students. And their destination was Mount Artaton, and they attempted to go to it via the Ural Mountains through a small settlement of Vilai.
And the real mystery starts from now, where they go missing. All these 9 members goes missing after a month, and research team was sent to this pass. And after they reached the place, these members were found about 6 miles away from their destination, in a forest almost a mile away from their campsite. So without they were found without their skis, shoes or coats. So, and these 2 of them out of all the 8 members who were found had fractured skulls, and 2 more had major chest fractures, and one hiker was missing her tongue. So this was very shocking for the research team to find, and later on the Soviet investigators listed the cause of death as a compelling natural force, and they had to abruptly close the case within a month.
So we can see that 6 of these hikers had died due to hypothermia, and 3 of them had died due to injuries which are not listed or which had no source of an origin. And to give about the actual occurrence of the crime scene which actually happened, we can see that all of them had died separately, and the 2 of them were found under a cedar tree, basically under the remains of a fire, and they had burned hands also. And the 3 other bodies are also found, which are kind of found at a uniform interval about 100 feet. And we also found 4 more bodies were also found around in a ravine, which is basically 250 feet away from the previous body. And and the most creepy part, or the most weird part about this whole thing, was that the bodies in the ravine were actually found in the month of May, which was actually 3 or 4 months after the actual incident.
Consistently, there were 8 or 9 sets of footprints in the snow, accounting for only the skiers, and not suggesting any other party's involvement, on foot at least. And there were no sign of struggle or of any other human or animal approaching the campsite where they decided to set their camp. And there was a snowstorm reported the night of February 2nd, which is when it was determined via their diaries that they died.
So their campsite was basically on the slopes of Kola Syakat, which is basically a dead mountain, also called, and it was about 3,600 feet. And physical description of the most of them would be around in the all of the travelers were around the mid 20s, and 1 of them or 2 of them were around in their late 30s, and all of them were very experienced mountain climbers, and they had a very good experience in all of these kind of atmospheres. And we can also see that they had actually maintained a diary, and they had actually returned their progress in their diary, and were actually in very high hopes of reaching their destination actually far earlier than predicted, which is very sad if you think about it now.
After the first 5 bodies were found, a legal inquest began, eventually determining that the cause of the death was hypothermia. The deaths seemed kind of straightforward at first. Sure, these dead were in the various stages of undress, including one in his underwear was found by the research team. But this was explained away as a paradoxical undressing, which happens in about 25% of hypothermia victims, as the hypothalamus malfunctions and body temperature seems to rise when it's really dropping. But then it got super weird.
So the thing which is very confusing, or other thing which is not able to be explained clearly, is that the tent was actually damaged from the inside. So it suggests that the campers were actually cut out the tent from the inside. They actually ran out, which is something which is not being able to be explained, or rather which does not have a clear explanation as to why it actually happened, because we can see that all of the campers or all of the members of the crew actually had proper equipment and proper gear to go out in those kinds of heavy kind of snowy atmosphere. So the fact which does not stick with with people, or rather it does not make sense, is that why did they actually have to run out into the extremely cold climate even though they had their winter cloth and gear? So that is very confusing, and I think the probable cause is something which we'll discuss at the end of the podcast. So I think the very confusing part is that they actually left the entire tent of their own violation, or rather out of their own will, which is something which is not able to accept even now.
Things got really shaken up when the four bodies found in the ravine were examined, where both Dubiana and Zolotarev had fractured ribs, while Nikoli Thibex had a major skull fracture. So this was very shocking for the team to examine. And one of the investigator compared the force required to a human so severely that of a car crash. It was so brutal, and the injuries were absolutely not caused by a force exerted by any other human being. Once again, no soft tissue damage was observed, as though the skiers' bodies were crushed by pressure. Also, Dubiana was found to be missing her tongue.
And as near the end, or rather the actual police investigation side of this incident, we can see that the case or the inquest was actually closed in the May of 1959 after a few weeks of the case opening, because since the police couldn't have any of the guilty parties, or they couldn't identify any kind of a malpractice, or rather any kind of a malfeasance in this incident, so they basically had to close the inquest and the case was basically shut off. And the four bodies which were found in the ravine, was all of their records and all of their information was basically classified and archived, which no one was able to access. And we can also see that in the late 1990s, most of these records, or rather in the post-Soviet era, we can see that some of these records literally went missing. So I think that suggests some kind of a foul play in the government's involvement in the actual incident, I think.
Yeah, and
So
after this incident, the mountain pass where the skiers set up this campsite was named for Dyatlov, and the Dyatlov Foundation, established by Yuri, who was one of the eyewitness at the funeral of these hikers in 1959.
So, moving near the end of the podcast, so now we are going to talk about the theories, or rather the kind of explanations which we have in our mind, which could actually make sense of this incident. So, Krishna, what have we got? What is your explanation of this incident?
So there are two explanations for this. One is hypothermia, and the other concept is about Yeti, that is the snowman. So this seemed to be very weird to hear, but still this has been a very big mystery. And this, as the police officers reported that this incident can't be done by any other human being. So it is, as it is very brutal. So the Yeti concept may be something very reasonable for this incident. And the other incident is hypothermia. So what do you think about it, Shiram?
So I think my aspect of viewing, or rather my point of explaining things, must be hypothermia, because I think hypothermia is this condition where the blood flow to the brain is basically stopped, or rather completely halted, so the person cannot think clearly. So basically his thinking basically his cognition is affected, so he does not behave in a human way, and he basically becomes an animal. So I think that's what happened in this case, and I think Igor was the first person who was actually affected by hypothermia. I think since some of his other crewmates were actually somehow safe from hypothermia, or rather I think were in the brink of the actual condition, but since Igor was the first one to be affected, I think he was the one who actually threatened them to, or like threatened to plan them to kill. So that's where that tent tearing incident comes in, where the crew kind of to escape from Igor, they kind of tore out from the tent and they basically ran out. And we can also see that Zolotarev was carrying his camera and actually did not take any of his or any of his equipment to combat the cold. And I think this proves for the fact that he actually wanted to record the incident, or rather since he knew that he wasn't going to escape from this problem, so he basically took out his camera. I think he wanted to basically film his last moments in this place. So I think hypothermia is something which could be a plausible explanation to this incident, I think.
Yeah, but don't you think the fractured ribs and fractured skull is something super weird? And do you think Dyatlov did it all by himself?
Yeah, I think that could be a possibility, because since there was no blood flow to his brain, he basically became an animal, and since he had no kind of a human feeling or none of those kinds of human aspects to him, I think he basically became an animal. He kind of started attacking people in wild way. He cut out Dubinina's tongue and he burned some of their hands also, I think, and he beat one of the persons with brute force. Basically, he cracked his rib. So I think Igor kind of was the first person who actually caused this whole thing, and I think at the end, or rather at the end of all of this, I think Igor somehow recovered from the hypothermia, and I think he forgot most of the incident which he actually did, and I think that is why he was able to make it out alive. And also for the fact that he was the only person to escape from this is something which is sounding very cliche, just like movies. So as we know, this is not a movie, so I think Igor kind of was the person who did everything, and I think he might have forgotten some of his stuff due to the hypothermia taking out some of his memory, I think.
Yeah, but even though, as you said, Igor did this by himself, but don't you think all the other skiers, all the other teammates, all the 8 members could have attacked him in return for their self defense?
Yeah, I think since most of them were extremely panicked, I think they could not do anything to Igor, because since he was still one of his crewmates, I think people could not blindly attack him. They were trying to calm him down or something, I think, because I think your instant response to something like this, I think, is not violence, or rather, they did not want to hit Igor. I think they just wanted to calm him down, so they just basically ran out, and they were basically scared for their lives, I think, and that is the thing which you basically do when you're on your feet, or rather, I think that is what their survival instincts told them to do. And I think they felt their survival instincts at the end of the day kind of failed them, and I think Igor basically killed all of them. I think that explanation to me, I think, seems more and more valid in this case, because the Yeti explanation, as you told Krishna, I think even though the Yetis have been spotted in many places in this world, and I think the Yeti theory is something which is predominantly present in every kind of a conspiracy theory which we see. So I think even though since we have not seen a Yeti, or rather since there has been no visual confirmation of an Yeti, I think the Yeti part is something which is still very confusing to me.
So yeah, these were the two major opinions from our side about this incident, and yeah, these two seem to be the proper reason for this incident.
Yeah, so that will be the end of the podcast, guys. Thank you so much for listening to it. If you have any kind of comments or suggestions, please put it in the comment section down below, and we'll see you in the future podcast, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.